What's happening, people? My name is Mr. London Plumber. Today I'll be talking about things I wish I knew before I started plumbing and things I know now as someone who has been doing plumbing for 18 years, and I've got quite a lot of experience because I share my content on social media, which most of you guys hopefully should have seen, and if you've not seen, What's happening, people, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mr. London Plumber. I'm a plumber from London, and we're going to discuss plumbing on my channel, so make sure you like, share and subscribe. I'm a content creator and a plumber by trade. I've been in the trade for 18 years and I've started to do modelling, so you're going to see a little bit more behind the scenes in content creating. Who doesn't want to see that? You're also going to get to learn a little bit more about my business and why I set up a business called Mr. London Plumber. I'm from London, so let's just get straight to it. But before I go, I need to make sure that you subscribe to the channel and like and share videos down there, which you would have seen before. If not, I'm a London plumber. I've been a plumber for 18 years. Today I'm going to talk about stuff which I know now, I should have known back then, and things which I went through as a plumber, which some of you lot might face at some point. So you always got to start your journey from where it always began. So for plumbing, for me, it began at a small family-run firm. How I first got into plumbing, and a lot of people have these stories. My story is to do with my uncle. He is a plumber himself, he is a lecturer himself. He's actually doing lecturing and teaching now today. We actually got mentioned last year in an article by Hit magazine, shout them out as well. They're a plumbing and heating magazine who actually talk about our industry and talk about people who have a bit of influence and stuff like that. And it was a great story what they was able to share with me and my uncle. So he got me into it. My first experience of plumbing was a job which came up by fortune. You know, these things happen, innit? A lot of plumbers who are seasoned plumbers, they have numerous amounts of jobs. So my uncle always planned his schedule like that. So, right, well, going to this job is to do this bathroom. One thing I can particularly remember today is the time when we pulled the stack off the wall. So when the stack and the toilet came out, so you pulled the toilet pan off the wall now, and now it's separated, and now you can only see the pan connector. And at that point there, I thought, wow, I looked at him and I had one of them moments and said, Jesus Christ, is that what goes on? Obviously, it was all non-beknownst to me before, because again, I was not a plumber. I had not had the years of experience what I have now and know the things what I know today. Definitely not. But that shocked me, innit? Because of that smell is horrendous, innit? And if you smelt that smell, you would know what I mean, because you say to yourself, oh my God, is this what I've got to put up with? But since then, I don't really do them types of jobs, not even so much myself, but I know they are out there, innit? So I commend people who work their way up, innit? Because that's all part of my story as well. So after we've got this first job out and done now, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I could do this, you know, uncle. So my uncle is a manager at a plumbing firm, which is called Claremore Mechanical, which is situated in East London. And it was a good company to work for. I can only say but good things. I was partnered up with a guy called Jack. I'm going to show you a picture of Jack now. This is Jack. He's probably in his 80s now or something. No, it might be in his 70s. Sorry, I'm saying a lot. No, he's about in his 70s, but he's an older guy now. So I was his only apprentice, and I only knew this about a year ago, because I went to go and see him at something and he was there, and it was a moment because I haven't seen him in 18 years. So it's like, for someone who you spend a lot of time with and grow a bond with, and for me as a man now, as I've grown older and I've realised, you know, what it's like to actually take someone else underneath your wing and actually show them the things which you know which are going to help them to survive, to be a plumber. Like I can only show so much appreciation to that person, innit? Because again, remember, when you're coming from two different types of worlds, whether you're doing the road, whether you're doing other stuff, other activities, let's say, yeah, and you come to doing something like plumbing, it's a whole different world. You're going inside people's properties. You have to be professional. You can't be on your phone doing the normal things which you might feel like you want to do at some point. You can't do because it goes against what you're there to do and what you're there to be paid to do as well. And you kind of like need to understand that if you want to keep, you know, your feet grounded in this trade as plumbers. And for people to be able to look at you as well and say to yourself, you know what, that's a good person, that's a person that's ready for work. Even if you don't do it in their face, it's much more respectful. That's what I've learned over this time as well. Being respectful when you're in people's places and showing respect as well, because again, you're in their home, you're in their bedroom, you have to walk through their bathroom sometimes, their kitchen, and so you see everything, innit? Your eyes can't go on like they don't see stuff. I've seen so much stuff by going in so many properties all up and down London. So you gauge this level of why they are like they are and what they're trying to show you. I know that now, obviously being a grown man, I know that in my 30s that teaching, it can only come from a few people. And I get it that some of us as tradespeople who are qualified, we don't want to take on some apprentices and stuff like that because you understand that you was an apprentice one day and the things what you get up to and the things what you could put up with, and I couldn't take the stress of somebody else. It's not for everyone and everybody can't be a teacher. I get that. I fully understand that. But for those who do reach out and do extend their knowledge and pass on their wisdom, tell people about the bad things and the good things, make them learn when they're on jobs, you guys are doing an amazing job and women are doing an amazing job, and you need to keep on because people need people like this. And I'm going to tell you why at the end of this story, so make sure you stick around to the end of the video when I tell you why you need to be that type of person and why that person's obviously rubbed off on me, myself, and that's why I am the way I am really. Right, so working with Claremore, we got to do a range of different types of jobs. So we was mainly doing commercial jobs. So I worked on a university site, which was Middlesex University. I'm sure one of the campuses, it's not even there anymore. But I enjoyed the experience. Like I said, I worked mainly with one person, innit? But I did have other days where I worked with another guy called Dave. But Dave was cool, but Jack was my guy, innit? So that's it. I haven't got nothing bad to say about Dave. Dave was cool, it's alright. I think I even got some old pictures which I'm going to put down here so you can see Dave. And this is some pictures from my early days of my apprenticeship. I've always wanted to share these on social media so you guys can see the journey in it, because I think sometimes when you present a nice package to people, people don't understand what happened before. So this is why I'm making this video, to talk to you about my apprenticeship, what it was like, and those sequels of times and how I was feeling. And when I reflect now as a grown man, how I feel about it now, right? So I'm gonna need a drink for this one as well. You guys should get a drink as well, because I'm gonna sit down and talk for a minute. Don't normally do that in between videos, but trying to keep it as professional as possible. Right, so we're at the stage where I'm working for Claremore and I'm in my first year of my apprenticeship. One thing I've got to say is that, and this is why I say that why Jack was so impactful for me as an apprentice growing up, is that when I was going to college, he's the first person asking me about what homework I'm doing, what subject I'm doing, what does it cover, what did you talk about in your lesson, what did you learn? And those questions resonate with you because you now have to rethink about them. And I know this because I'm a plumbing lecturer now. Do you get it? Like when someone's doing that side of the work and someone's giving the deliberation, which is what you get when you're in college, it's a mixture, but it's probably going to stick better. And I feel that maybe that's why the apprenticeships are working in my day more than they will so much be working now today. Not to say they're not working today, because some people are coming lovely apprentices and I'm watching a lot of their TikTok videos, and it's encouraging me to even share more content. I've always shared my content during my time, but I wish I started from like way back then, because I would have been crushing the game. But I'm here now, and at the end of this video, again, I'm going to talk about the content bit, but that's for at the end. At the end. You want to stick around to that end bit, that will be at the end of this video. I'm not going to not cover that. I am going to say something important about that as well. So the early times of just being at this firm, it was a mixture of different trades. So I worked with a guy called Mick, and Mick was a drainage engineer. I really liked Mick as a person. Seemed cool, like geezer, and showed me a little bit about drainage. I don't know how much I could remember today, but I do know a little bit more extra because I've been on jobs a few times with a few drainage engineers, and I've always been interested because I used to go out with him like every Friday. I think every Friday I used to work with him. So Claremont gave me a fruit barrel of like mixtures of like tradespeople to work with, right? So they gave me a drainage engineer to work with, so I got to understand about I got to understand about waste pipes, I got to understand about how to unblock stuff, and I got to understand about drains and stuff like that, downpipes and all that stuff. That's what we covered with that guy. So on the other side, I was set up with electrician as well. So I worked with a guy called Bob for a little bit, and I worked with another guy called Mick as well. Who taught me more stuff? Probably Bob at the time. One or two things. He was a nice guy, I liked him. Funny guy as well. He's quite funny. Funny character as well. I like him, man. Shout out Bob, man. And to this day now, all I can remember them guys as in people, as if you wanted to learn something, you could just ask them. They would tell you. And they were more than willing to tell you. And I think having that type of attitude, what they had then, helped me grow into the person I am now, and to be able to help others, probably online, which I've had a lot of success with now, which is helping them to learn the trade and helping them to be interested in the things what they're doing, because it makes your future, if you choose this type of future as a plumber, it makes it easier for you. So those were some key people. So we had the drainage, the electrician, and then Jack was a heating engineer, and he was a Corby gas engineer as well. That's how long ago it was, but he was the next level, man. The vivid things which I remember about my apprenticeship in those early days, the first memory of getting my first tool, I got my first adjustable. It was a Barco, I still got it today, and I think it was a size 8, and I got that when I was like 18. I was gassed, I was over the moon. When I got this one tool, not that you can do a lot of things with one tool, but I've got my own now, and obviously for like 6 months before I was going to the van and getting his, and get me my tools and get me my tools. I got this little boot bag, so it was a football boot bag, and I used to put my tools in it, so I'd end up with about 6 or 7 tools, and at that moment then, that's when I felt I'm really growing into being a plumber, and this is what I'm going to do. And obviously from that moment then, I've obviously never looked back, but the hurdles have come in between. So I would say one of the main hurdles after growing and getting some tools is facing the job yourself. So as an apprentice, you're always over someone's shoulder, watching, supposed to be passing tools, but you've got to have this level of interest in what you're doing. If you don't, it's kind of like, it's boring to you, isn't it? And I get that as a young person, because I was young, obviously. But I know now that if you have that level of interest, like why, or you want to know, or you have an interest, which a lot of people do, which is going to be about money, isn't it? It's like me saying to you that I didn't get into plumbing because I heard that it was good money. Of course I did. I got into plumbing because I heard that plumbers ain't really going to struggle at any point. And one thing Jack said to me, he goes, Jay, being a plumber, yeah, you're gonna be alright. You're gonna have more money than your mates, but you're not gonna be super rich. You're not gonna be rich. That's what he said. He didn't say super rich. He didn't say rich. And I took that and I said to myself, what do you mean by that, man? Because I'm in my teens when he says that to me. Because I'm like, you're alright, do you know what I mean? I think Yeah, I'm sure at one point, most of these people who I worked with had a swimming pool or something like that. And I don't have a swimming pool, do you know what I mean? So I thought to myself, they're doing alright, innit? I understood what he meant about the rich thing. You can make a lot of money and you will have a lot more money than others because people tend to need you on times of need. And when you're at a time of need, you're willing to pay more money than what you'd normally put up with anyway. Because if something was like, you had a radiator and it was leaking right now and flooding your house, you'd want to get someone around quick and you're willing to pay that emergency fee. Do you get it? At this point, because I was working for this firm, my sole interest wasn't just about money because I had a weekend job. My weekend job was, I've never said this to people before, but my weekend job was working at JD Sports. And I actually met John and Dave, the people that own JD Sports. That was a long time ago. But why I talk about the JD Sports is because when you're young, yeah, you're trying to build up this person of who you are, innit? No matter who you are, like you don't really know your identity when you're young yet. You're still trying to work it out. So when you're working it out, you're going through this phase of, am I grown? Am I a big man? I eat at the calf. I'm one of the lads, but the lads are grown into who they are. Do you know what I mean? Like they're comfortable with farting in front of you. They're comfortable with burping in front of you. Do you get it? You're still trying to get that out. You're still having milkshake and stuff like that. I'm not saying anybody's name, but you get what I mean, innit? And while you're growing to being the person you are, you just got to find yourself, innit? Finding yourself is being at your comfort zone for you and not for other people. So at this point of my apprenticeship, I'm now finding who I am and getting the confidence to be able to do jobs because Jack isn't going to let me stand over his shoulder all the time and pass the tools to him. He's going to say, yeah, you get on and do that and I'm going to start with that. And that's when I knew, at that moment when I was able to, trusted to like, oh, did you do that? No, yeah, I did. You sure? Yeah. And when you would stutter and say, yeah, I'm not sure, that's the moment for you to click back and go and try and just double check your work, basically. That's what he's telling you. And that whole philosophy worked better for me because I was able to, before I called him, I'm done, Jack. Yeah, I have checked it, I've double checked it. Alright, cool. I'm going to turn it on now, make sure your bit's not leaking and just go over and check my bit with the torch as well and then we'll start to pack up. That moment, and everybody knows what it's like when someone says to you when you're with your plumber and they say, oh, alright, I'm going to pack up. Jesus. Go home, finally. But it's a sigh of relief. But one thing I realised in all of those situations, the point of completing the job, yeah, was the whole point of like, that's what I get out of it. I get a sense of relief that we've done a job, we've completed something, and there's some money coming. The money wasn't crazy, innit? Remember, I'm an apprentice at this point, innit? So it's not too crazy, innit? And I told you I had 2 jobs as well, so I was killing it for that time. So I'll speak about why I worked at JD Sports. I worked at JD Sports so I could get trainers. Obviously, I was young, innit? If you got 2 jobs, it's better than 1. And I thought to myself, if I can start hustling hard when I'm younger, I won't have to work harder when I'm older. Sometimes it does work. Depends what you do with your money. You need to learn how to manage your money as well. That's something I'll speak about in a part 2 when I do this next sit down. But at this point, I just wanted to gain good customer service, innit? Because I've realised talking to people was a big part of my job, and there was a point of me which was a bit shy to speak in front of people, innit? But you got to gain this confidence for yourself to be able to explain the job, but also to tell people what's up, and for them not to believe or think that, oh, you're just trying to con me, oh, you're just trying to make some money. No, I'm just trying to tell you that's up as well. If I fix this, it's gonna work for a bit, but you need to change that. Oh, you sure I can't? Just saying. And I had to learn how to do that, how to communicate with people, because a lot of people, especially when you're young, in your teens, you can't say that you've got that good level of communication when it comes to talking to customers in a professional mannerism. let me not skip you before that. So before that, my sister gave me my first job at a optician's, yeah? And that's where I learned it when I was in school. So when I was in sixth form, I used to work there with my sister. Shout out my sister, the real G. When your sister's a manager or something like that and they can put you on and put you into work to gain some money or some experience, definitely do it. So that's where I started with the customer service and actually talking to people. So I used to have to sign people in who's come to the opticians for an appointment. So I would say, hi, I'm here to, and I'd have to get over it and I have to learn everybody's name as well, reading through the list, seeing the times as well, making sure that I'm up for it and making sure that the people are waiting in the waiting area and all of that. So that was preparing for jobs or preparing to do something, and that's the side of like managing yourself, innit? So I think at this point I'd have got a few tools, and like I said, we was going to jobs and Jack was telling me to do this bit, he does that bit, and I was gaining experience. And I think at some point I first started with like changing the siphon, I think at my own house or something like that, because I had the tools, innit? I knew what to do because I'd seen Jack do it before, and I think I attempted it, and that was a good try. I didn't film it obviously because this was like, you wasn't filming stuff these times, but it was a part and a process which was definitely necessary to the build of me today, because without those parts of putting myself together in that way and getting those little skills that you need from the beginning, whether it's confidence, whether it's having your own tools, whether it's understanding what to do, whether it's reading through the instructions when you're doing stuff, that's a 100% must do when you're starting off. And I've learned from my experience that when people ask me, oh, I want to get into plumbing, or I want to try and do a simple basic plumbing job around your house, whether it's changing a washer or something like that, and then ask yourself how long did it take you to do it, and is this something you might be interested in doing? Because again, I've had friends who were in their teens, just like me at the time, and they said, oh, I want to do the same thing you're doing, man. And my mate had like an office job. Now I'll never forget this. And he quit this office job and he put his foot through the ceiling. I said, rah. And he's like, oh, has it ever happened to you? And I'm like, no, never. But I've always tried to be very careful when I'm at work, just because you don't want to damage yourself. And when you're young, you know, you can break stuff with brute force. We all know that, innit? We've all got a story of an apprentice that done something or something like that and it ended up in this way. But like I say, my early days of the apprenticeship was definitely a lot of nurturing, a lot of people who had good guidance. I had a lot of respect for those people as well. Even now today I have a lot of respect for them as well, because I didn't have the chance to go back to my apprentice place where I started, which was Claremont Mechanical, to say thank you. And I made sure I did do that when I did see the person who owns that company. So Gavin, I did say thanks to you, and I say thanks again for the opportunity what I got to be able to put myself on track to live a good life, innit? And it doesn't work out for everybody with being an apprentice and going through that, but not everything works out for everyone. Sometimes some things are a gamble. If you was to ask me now today, how many plumbers do I know who are like multi-millionaires? A few. That's it. But that probably comes from the type of work that they're doing at the moment. But I was going to touch on a part what I was going to tell you about social media and my content and the content which I've been seeing online. So I've been seeing a lot of TikTok videos online of young apprentices who put themselves out there. And you know what, I've got to say, hats off to you guys, because you learn from each other when you put out this content. I learn from other people when I watch their content who are also in my trade as well. We might not be friends, we might not be whatever, but there's definitely something you can learn from somebody else's job, how they're doing something and how to practically do it yourself. I'm a person who is like a visual learner. I could watch somebody do something and understand how to do it. I've got those good core skills. And again, I do like to learn as well, because I'm I'm just a person at the moment. I'm in a space at the moment for myself where learning is key, innit? Because I understand how important it is now, because the playing fields are leveling up. You know, I'm coming to a point where I'm coming up to having 20 years of experience, and yeah, I'm really getting recognised within that industry at the moment now. So I'm just gonna keep powering on. Like, when you're doing something right, you got to keep on doing it to get it even better, because there's always room for improvement. Even myself, I know that with my journey, even my content, things have started to change. Things have started to be a little bit more professional. I've always wanted them to be like that, but it's having the time and what the focus is on. My focus should always be on plumbing, because that's how I first started everything. But that isn't always the bread and the butter over everything. Some things are just more profitable now today, and I realise that, and I do try to move with the time, but I also try to do things which align with me, but also sit with me well. So that means that I'm not just running after every pound note, if you get what I mean. That's what I mean with that. Another drink break. I hope you lot are enjoying the content, because I'm going to make a 3-part series to this, because it's a lot of talking and sitting down, and I want to be able to tell you the story in my own way. So we've got up to the point of me being an apprenticeship now, and I'm going to speak about my second year when it started to get more serious, and then I'll speak about another episode where I left Claremore and I went for my first plumbing job, which was outside my apprenticeship. I stayed with them for about 4 or 5 years, so I did stay with them for a little bit. So there's a bit to talk about when it comes to jobs and what type of things we was doing, because I feel that what you do in your apprenticeship sometimes can mould you to what side you go to after, innit? Because I will tell you from now, I did get into plumbing through doing, we was on a maintenance contract basically, but we did do large installations as well, like big refurbs and stuff like that. So I will talk about that as well, and I'll speak about how I got into domestic work as well, because that's been a big part of my content as well, and that's something which I've learned from every single time when I've started to do jobs. When I do jobs, that'll be a whole episode, because we can talk about a lot of stuff there in that episode. But I hope you've enjoyed this bit of content, because I've tried to make it the beginning of my journey, because being on YouTube, you're going to see a lot of different content from me and from stuff I've collabed with and stuff like that, but I always wanted to tell people the story from like when it started, because these stories actually motivate other people to get on and do good things. Yesterday I was on my Instagram, which I leave the handle underneath this video. One of my apprentices from about 6 years ago, he's got his own plumbing business and he has 14 people working for him. You see that story for me, that made my day. It's making my day even today thinking about it, because he said that I was inspiring to him, and that he remembers the words what I told him. And again, even at that point then, I was still on my come up anyway. Do you get it? But I tell people real stuff. If you're interested and you want to know, and I got you underneath this like mentorship, because I was lecturing them at the point. And yeah, I always give people real words of wisdom and tell them the truth, man. I don't shy away from nothing. I'm myself. I have the same account for all this time. Again, like I said to you, this is like someone who I taught nearly 6 years ago, and yeah, he came on yesterday, and that was a good moment for me, man, because I got to reminisce back, and I got to say to myself, you know what, it's the positive energy and the good vibes, what you tell people, and obviously the truth of things is what will always prevail, and people always come back to you in some type of way. But make sure you're liked, shared and subscribed, because this one's went on for a little bit, and I'll see you on the other side. It's Mr. London Plumber. Let's get it.